Alright folks, what we got here is 2011 Buick Regal. This particular example is the CXL Turbo. It's got a base sticker price of $29,495. It's got the 2-liter turbo in there, 6-speed auto, 220 horsepower, 258 foot-pound torque. Fuel economy on this model is 18 in the city, 29 on the highway. I'm just going to go ahead and get inside here real quick, talk about this car. This model here has the adaptive suspension option. It's not only that, but it also does some reprogramming on your shift points in addition to the suspension. To give it a sportier feel. You can definitely feel the difference between the sport mode, the tour mode, and the base. I found the tour to be a nice compromise. The sport, for when it was a fairly smooth road, but twisty. Firing it up here, you can see we've got the driver information center in the middle here through some various functions. And over here, of course, this is the nav-equipped model. You've got some controls down here so that you can go into the various modes and switch around. I did find, however, that it not being a touchscreen was a little bit of a negative for me, simply because, for example, if you wanted to change whether this always pointed north or was following the actual direction of travel, going through the menu system, at least for an initial drive or two, was a little bit tricky. These buttons here, I think, detract a little bit from the overall appearance of the cabin, simply because there's so many of them. But they are clearly labeled, well illuminated at night. Once you're generally familiar with the area, I think you'll do fine. And the HVAC system, logically laid out for me, was able to quickly adjust everything that I wanted. This model with the trim has this faux wood finish, which isn't bad, and the black models have a piano black type material instead. This particular example also has within the car, we'll look at all the usual features you would find in a GM vehicle, right? So you've got your OnStar up here, of course your sunroof controls, you've got some ambient lighting here, in addition to your map lights. In the back you've got another light, ambient, of course, as you'll notice there's the woven headliner material. You've got your center console here, power point, there's a USB in here as well. Twin cup holders, map pocket here, not felt lined, but the glove box is felt lined. Overlooking other features, of course, you've got some controls here for your phone, Bluetooth equipped, of course, and of course for your cruise. Twin stalks, very common. One interesting thing, if you look on some of the cars GM sells here in the US, the speedometer automatically recalibrates between standard and metric. Doesn't do it in this car. It has the metric as beneath in small print. I think it's not as clean looking, but again, a minor issue. Overall, the fit and finish is fabulous on this car. I can't say enough about how well everything fits together. All the surfaces you're going to put your hands on are soft to the touch. You don't get to harder plastics until you get further down. Good layout of the controls. When you look at things, you've got your grab assist handles pretty much everywhere that you would want them. So it's a very pleasant riding car, perhaps a little bit more road noise than we were kind of expecting out on the freeway. This, being the turbo model, had good response, but I feel it is the bare minimum for most drivers. The non-turbo really lacked the responsiveness, especially on the 2-lane roads that I would be looking for. It would be fine for moseying around town, but if you can pony up the extra dollars you're certainly not paying much in the way of a penalty when it comes to fuel mileage. So we'll go ahead and sit in the back here really quickly. And in the back of the vehicle, you notice on this model, being the turbo, it does have an inverter built in, so you got your power point. Scalloped seat back to allow more knee room. I'm sitting back here pretty comfortably. Of course, you do have a feature on the newer Epsilon. For example, you don't see this on the current Malibu, but you do have your armrest for the rear. Somewhat reduced headroom due to the slope of the back, but a pretty minor issue. We didn't obviously spend a lot of time in the back seat of the vehicle. And then when we get into the trunk, you've got the non-luggage crusher, so no worry about damaging your precious cargo. Of course, a really kind of a standard old net here. Pretty deep. You do have the speakers intruding down just a little bit. And then that's actually kind of stuck in there, so we won't pull that up. We'll go ahead and pull real quickly the hood so you folks can see that. Let's see. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not. I had some issues with it before. There we go. So here we are. Here's the turbo mill. Fills up the engine bay pretty nicely, but still a little bit more room. Of course, in the German model, you can also get a V6 in the OPC version. Whether or not we ever see something like that here remains to be seen, but obviously anything's possible. You notice that a lot of this grille is masked off. There's some clearance here, but like all of this is all blocked off, so they've just got a little bit here. At night, you've got a light signature coming along here. And kind of a real close view of the 19-inch rims on the car. So that's just a real brief overview. Obviously, more specs in my article, but this kind of gives you an example of what we're looking at here. Overall, very comfortable to ride in, and in turbo guise, very enjoyable to drive. From a styling perspective, very subjective for folks. I think it's a pleasing design, having been around them all day today. It's a good looking car. I prefer probably the LaCrosse with its sweep spear, but again, that's very subjective in nature. That is our basic tour of the 2011 Buick Regal. Hope you've enjoyed this information. Again, I do have an article posted as well for folks who want to learn a little bit more. Already in dealers, the turbo model is a little bit delayed, but that will be here shortly. And as recently announced, the GS model will be coming, to be determined when it will arrive, but that will offer even higher performance. All right, thanks folks.